Here, and today I'm going to talk with you guys about some key principles for remote learning. And these are just some of the lessons that I've learned, and some of the mistakes that I've made when we started to transition into this type of learning with our school. So I just wanted to share some of that with you, and hopefully that'll give you a little bit of insight into how you can go about your classes for this coming year. So it was just announced for us in the state of Virginia, for our schools, that the beginning of the school year, more than likely, is going to be remote learning, distance learning, online learning, all that kind of stuff. And so, thankfully, we as teachers have a little bit of the summertime to pre-plan and get some of this stuff worked out and have something solid in place, right, for when our kids join us back in the fall. That's the reason why I wanted to kind of go over some of the mistakes and lessons that I've learned for this past year. So here we go. So for me, the first thing was, yes. The first thing is that, and this isn't something that I've learned, it was something that I just realized like was super important, was that relationships really matter. Like they matter a whole lot. And so for me, the transition from traditional learning to online learning, it wasn't as difficult as I maybe thought it would be. And actually, I really didn't even think twice about it, to be honest with you. And the reason for that is because the relationships that I already had with my kids was already there. You know what I mean? And I knew that the transition from my regular classroom, it would be all the same stuff that we were doing before, would just be online, right? And I didn't really have a problem with that. But here's one thing that I won't be doing. Okay, what I won't be doing is I won't just be copying and pasting YouTube links from various sources for my kids to watch. And I won't just be posting links for, some random activity I found online and calling it a day. That's not something that I'll be doing, right? The vast majority of my asynchronous videos where the kids are not actually with me live, the vast majority of those videos will be me teaching, my voice, my face, everything. And of course, I will use other videos and curriculums and resources and all that stuff, right? And I'm in the process of now finding out what is the most engaging content for my kids. And all of those components will be extra and they will enhance and complement what I already do. But I think it's super important for the kids to feel like they're in a normal classroom environment as much as possible. So seeing our faces and hearing our voices and talking to them and being laid back and whatever your personality type is, but being ourselves is going to be really important. And for the kids to be able to see that, especially when it's the first impression that they're going to have of us for next year, because some of our kids might not know who we are, that's going to be really important that they can see us and engage with us in our first few lessons for sure. Okay, and number two, this was kind of a stumbling block for me this year. So for me, the procedures for turning in work, that was most definitely one of the biggest pain points for me this year, because during this transition from regular learning to online learning, I didn't have a solidified plan for kids turning in their work, right? Most kids, they just emailed me their assignments and that was completely fine. But, for me, I was working between 3 different LMSs and that was not fun. I had PowerSchool, I had Google Classroom, and then I had Canvas and all this stuff. And to try to manage all 3 of those was not fun. And I didn't have a solidified way for the kids to turn in their work. So I will have something better in place for next year, for sure, for at least for consistency's sake. And then the next thing that I think is going to be super important, especially since we're more than likely going to be starting online next year, is our tone, right? So for me, normally in a traditional environment, the first few days of school, those are very formal, super formal for me. And it's all about establishing procedures and systems and the behavioral conduct, the standards for that I want to see in my class. So for me, the kids, I always try to emphasize this, especially in the beginning, is that they've got to understand that my job as the authority figure in the room is to keep them safe and to make sure that they're learning each and every day. And that's a huge responsibility, right? And to, try to get every kid everything that they need at any given time. I mean, that's tough. So I need them to respect that, right? And what my role is, okay, and what their role is. So personally, once I feel like the students understand that and we're on the same page collectively, then I can kind of loosen up a little bit and be more of my laid back self and be funny and all that stuff. And so when I make instructional videos, for this online thing that we're going to be doing, when I make instructional videos after the boundaries have already been set and I've been abundantly clear with everything, then that's when I can bring more of my personality to life. For me, that's sort of my style, right? But that's when I can bring more of my personality to life and make the kids feel like they're in there with me and I can kind of relax a little bit. So for me, that would be a big thing. Okay? And then the next thing is cold calling. So for me, this is such a valuable tool that I use as a teacher. Me personally, I've always believed that I get the best out of my students when I know that they can't check out, when they know that that they can't check out. I mean, that's a big thing. So they know, all my kids know that I'm going to call on them at some point in time every single day. Every day. Every kid, every single day is going to be asked to do something. Whether it's to answer a question, to share something, to clarify something, to read something out loud, whatever it is, everyone, every single day is going to participate, right? At least one time per day. And this is huge. And it's especially important in the online world where it's really easy to get distracted. So I believe, that this helps every student, cold calling, it helps every student feel seen, right? And well, what's the significance of that? For me, the significance of feeling seen is, think of a person, think of anybody, think of yourself, think of your students, think of just some random person that you know, think of somebody. The bottom line is that whether it's yourself, a student, or someone else altogether, think of how that person's actions might be different if they felt that their conduct and their actions didn't reflect upon themselves personally. So in other words, what I do doesn't have an effect on my life at all. How would my actions be different? Well, the truth is that we all know that that would be really scary because we've seen it already with technology, right? There's, we've seen the fact that too many people can say and do things that they, behind a computer screen, that they wouldn't normally do if they felt or thought that they would be identified and held to account. But because they can do things anonymously, people's actions are very different because they can hide, right? Now, in an academic setting, it's the same thing. If students think or feel that I don't see their work, right, it's the same effect. They're not going to care about cheating. They're not going to care about copying somebody else's work. They're not going to care about, how much effort they put into the assignment because they don't think that I really care what they think or even know what they're capable of because I don't make them feel seen. So that's another reason why I particularly like to cold call. So I like to make students feel seen and noticed with a cold call, and I show them personally that I value, and I tell them this explicitly, that I show you that I care what you think and I value what you have to say by eliciting your participation and your thoughts in class in a supportive environment. Right? So that's lesson number 4. Lesson number 5, this is another thing that I learned from this transition, is that their cameras have to be on if it's live. If I'm doing a live session, the camera's got to be on. So this is feeling seen in a literal sense, right? This is a lesson that I learned early on, and I, kind of just bounced back and forth with the idea as to whether the cameras actually needed to be turned on or not. But the bottom line is that they should be, because the kids just are not paying attention if they're not. They're just not paying attention in the same way. And it gives too much room for them to get distracted that I just don't want to happen, right? So I am going to request that my kids have their cameras turned on, and they don't necessarily, I'm going to say this, but I'm not going to make them, obviously I don't have any control over that, but I'm not going to make them get dressed up or anything like that. But I am going to say, hey, when you come to class, it would be great, right, if you could wear your normal school clothes as if you were here, right? Because that's going to make you feel more productive. But at the end of the day, it's not something that I can regulate. So, but I am gonna regulate their cameras being turned on. That's going to be a big deal during live sessions anyway. And then the last thing is giving feedback. So feedback is a big deal, right? So for me, one of the things that I learned with regards to remote learning is the importance of quality feedback, and just simply put, how overwhelming it can be to provide that to each student with regards to all the assignments that they're turning in. It's a ton of feedback, and I would say that, I didn't have like all of my students participate in all of my classes. I think that most teachers can feel, or they can relate to that. But if I did, if I had had all of my students participate in every assignment that I gave them online, and I don't feel that I gave them too many assignments, but if I had had every student participate and I would have been giving all of them feedback, I don't know that I could have done it because it took so much time, right? So what I am going to do with regards to feedback is I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm still going to give the same feedback, but I'm going to collect the data from their work, and then I'm going to make a short presentation on the areas of excellence, things that they did well at, and then I'm going to make, well, within the same presentation, I'm going to make some comments on the areas of growth, and then provide specific examples from their work in that presentation to show, hey, this is how you do this is how you structure this, blah, 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 right? So that way what's going to ultimately save me time is that I'm not repeating myself in the same feedback over and over and over again on every individual's work, right? And that's going to save me a lot of time and just kind of help me keep my head on straight with all this online stuff. So another thing that I'll be doing is obviously taking some professional development courses so that I can get stronger in the areas of technology that I might not be as knowledgeable in. So those are some of the things that I'm going to be doing for the online learning. Anyway, I hope that you guys found that helpful, and if you have any questions about anything or any suggestions, I'm all ears, and I will see you guys in the next live video. Thanks so much. Bye.